I know, and I like what you brought up, the whole salary cap thing, because I mean it is kind of getting ridiculous at the point. We had the same reaction with the Mets a couple of years ago with Steve Cohen when they were projected to have about $350 million. Right now, the Dodgers, they're projected to get $371 million of luxury tax and total payroll this entire season.
And the fact that they're only accounting for $2 million of Ohtani and like half of Mookie Betts' contract.
Right, we're not even counting the deferred money right now. That's just what they're paying in 2025.
Yeah.
So like it could be getting close to $500 million.
Yeah, because I know for sure that like Mookie is only getting paid, I think, like a third of what he should be getting paid.
Right.
Freddie Freeman, I think something similar to that. I don't know if it's quite a third, but like half of like all of their big guys. It's like at least half of their contract is getting paid later. Yeah. So they might have $371 on the books right now, but actually it is more like $500 or even more than that.
Well, like I'm looking at 2028 right now, and usually 3 or 4 years down the line, you'll see all these teams like their salaries
drop significantly,
just drop off. Right? I mean, like the sixth highest one projected in 2028 is only committed $91 million, and that's the Braves right now, right? Mm-hmm. Whereas you have the Dodgers still committing $226 million. That's more than one, two. Hold on. That's more than most teams other than 1, 2, 3, 4, 3 teams right now this season.
Right.
Like that, and that's because of all the deferred money. So luxury tax, Nick, like I know we've been down this rabbit hole before because we had that whole CBA thing happen a couple of years ago. Very disastrous for any Blue Jays or baseball content creator out there where you couldn't make any content about anything. But do you think that they should be going back and revisiting that conversation the next CBA, which is December 1st, 2026? Because a lot of people right now are feeling frustrated, but we all know what that means. You might lose an entire MLB season.
Well, I certainly don't want to lose an entire MLB season. Like that's, I mean, again, that's the livelihood, so can't really be doing that. But I do think that this is crazy. And again, it is credit to the Dodgers for playing well within the rules, right? Like you have the money, and if the Marlins had the money, they might do the same thing, but they don't, right? It's like you are living a life of luxury, and you're not sitting idly by and just making money about it. No, you're going out and you're winning more, and you're growing your brand, and you're doing everything. So again, credit where credit is due. But this is stupid, and it kind of feels like in the last few off seasons especially, it's like the MLB, there's, 30 teams. Yeah, thank you. I always mix them up with football. But 30 teams in MLB, but really there's only like 6 teams in MLB. Because of, who goes out and actually signs the free agents. And ultimately, like, I can list on my one hand, like, who's going to win the next 5 World Series, right? Because those are the guys that have the funds to do so. So yes, I do think that there needs to be something done about this. I've seen some people go out there and like Trevor Plouffe, for instance, he was like, oh yeah, like this is great for baseball because like they set the bar and everything like that. And I'm like, okay, I hear you and I get it, and you're gonna get new fans watching the Dodgers, but like they set a bar that I don't think anyone can really match. And maybe the Yankees, maybe the Mets, maybe, but like I don't even know if they can like reach that height, So I don't know, man. It's something needs to be done. I'm not sure how you do it, but something needs to be done.
Yeah, it's funny. I kind of look at the way baseball sets up their payroll as a very capitalistic way, where it's like you have the freedom and the luxury to go do whatever you want. Sure, there's some penalties, like we'll tax the rich. Like that's the competitive luxury tax when you're really rich. But you can still have the freedom to go and spend and do whatever you want. And you can market yourself however you want. You can go sign whoever you want. You could do whatever you want. It's a lot of freedom in that regards. And then what happens is when you get the big, mega, corporations like the Dodgers breaking out and doing all these things that are unfair, people go, well, that's not fair. We have to make it a little bit more even and kind of move the needle a little bit right now.
Well, I think, though, that, like, recently, and, I'm sure there's been dynasties before in baseball. Obviously, I mean, the Yankees have had dynasties, and there's been other teams that have had dynasties. But recently, it's felt with all these mega deals and everything like that, the gap, and this is true to actually the world.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
the gap between the top 1% and then the rest of like the 80% of the other teams, it's massive. Like the chart of like the wealth up here at the top 1% compared to like all of the other teams. It is a huge difference, and this system, the formula, like the capitalistic system that they employ in baseball, it promotes that, right? And you've seen that kind of grow over time, and I think that you're reaching a point where it's like, this is too much to overcome. Like there can be a difference. There can be. It's like you're willing to spend this much, and we're willing to spend that much, and it's fine. But what we're seeing right now is just so much. Other teams don't have that. Tampa Bay Rays will never win the World Series. They will never win the World Series. In this current format, the Tampa Bay Rays will never. In fact, I could probably list off 10 teams that will never, ever win the World Series in this current format.
Oh, yeah. I want to list them off for now. I got all the lowest payrolls right now.
I can go off the top of my head right now. The Tampa Bay Rays will never win the World Series. The Miami Marlins will never win the World Series.
The Athletics.
The Athletics maybe when they go to Vegas, who knows?
Yeah.
But
let's say in the next 5 years.
Yeah.
Like
they're never going to win the World Series.
White Sox.
White Sox will never win the World Series. Rockies will never win the World Series. But that's more about mismanagement than anything else. They're never going to win the World Series. Who else has no
Pittsburgh.
money? Pittsburgh, here's the thing about Pittsburgh. They never spend.
Yeah.
I wonder, though, about, and that's the thing about some of these teams, Pittsburgh, like some of the teams that you think would have money.
They have an opportunity for marketing potential because they are Pittsburgh.
Yes.
But they just never do it.
That's the thing, right? It's like
That's
I look
the capitalistic way. There's an opportunity for everybody.
Yes.
You just have to take advantage of it.
But there are specific teams out
Cleveland.
there that genuinely, Cleveland, for instance, like you don't have it. You never will have it.
Yeah.
You've been good. Like Cleveland's been good, and they just don't actually have it.
Yeah.
And therefore, it's like, how are they ever going to compete? It's really, really tough.
Yeah, like, I mean, what's funny is probably the best of these poor teams. Cleveland one of them, but Milwaukee.
Sure, yeah.
Milwaukee has always been the best of the poor teams.
Milwaukee will never,
That's the thing is like they did everything they possibly could in their own, financial capabilities, and they always come up short.
Yeah, because
they just never do.
Like it's one of those things where Milwaukee, like I think we can all agree, Milwaukee is a well-coached, developed baseball team. That, with all intents and purposes, like they're a solid squad, but they always run into the glass ceiling where it's just like
you got Ohtani,
like,
Yamamoto.
Eventually, like we just, we're playing from behind the 8 ball like so much. You're not gonna be able to do it, right?
So is there any way for like baseball to rectify this and make it fair? Because again, if you try to, then you're gonna have a locked out season regardless. But beyond the point of that, is there any way to fix it other than salary cap?
The only way that I can really actively think about it is the salary cap. You can try to impose more, I guess,
CBT.
whatever's, taxes and shit like that. But it's the same thing,
You know what I was thinking too? I thought about this the other day. What if you got like your CBT money, and maybe there is this already in place, but what if your CBT money, if for every dollar that you spend over the luxury tax, all these other guys, it has to go directly to like Miami Marlins and Athletics, like all that tax goes to the guys at the bottom, and that and maybe it's distributed evenly, like there's some calculation so that it's like a little bit more fair, not just like all of a sudden Miami has $200 million that they can just spend all of a sudden, but like it like boosts everyone from the bottom up, so every time you go over, you're helping pay for other teams get better. I don't know how that would work. But,
I'm not sure how that would work either. That feels like it seems in theory like a good idea, and then one in practice that like might not work out. But it's who knows?
Because I'm wondering where the CBT. Maybe I'm ignorant to this. Where does the CBT money go right now? Like it's just pay the MLB.
I think MLB just gets it.
They just get profit. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like maybe a portion of that or something goes towards the other guys because then that way.
Never.
I know exactly.
MLB would never.
But they see MLB probably would never because this is the whole problem with the whole CBA. There's always a disagreement, but I think the players' union would because that's more money going in the pockets of players.
Well, and here's the other thing as well, and this is why we're not going to see a salary cap, and there's not going to be a lockout, and there's not going to be anything because ultimately, like, who's motivated? The fans are motivated, but who's actively motivated to get a salary cap?
The owners right now, I think, are motivated right now because that's what I'm reading in this article is that the other owners of other teams can't sign any players because they'll just keep going to those other teams that are like mega super teams, right?
So here's the thing though, is that I think that you're gonna see, because you got the owners and then you got the players.
Yeah, players. Yeah,
players are very clearly like,
for no salary cap.
We all want to get paid our mega millions and whatever. The owners, whilst some of them are going to be certainly we want a salary cap, there's also going to be a relatively significant portion that are going to not want that.
Yeah.
And then you're also going to have the overarching MLB, and they're also not going to want a salary cap, because for them, I mean, like, let's face it, the LA Dodgers are good for business right now.
Right.
Like think about how much, how many more people are watching and tuning into that one team.
I think the MLB will try to influence the owners to not want a salary cap. Like, again, you have to do something on your part, because the people who go to the CBA isn't the MLB, it's the owners and it's the players.
I know, but I'm sure that the MLB has some type of voice.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. It's like, I think that, but you need to like influence and incentivize the owners. Like, if you really don't want to lockout, like that's the thing too. The MLB, the last thing they want is a lockout right now, especially in the next 2 years, right? Because of what you're seeing, like the Dodgers. As much as we hate it from a fan perspective, this is good for growing baseball. This is making people interested in baseball. If I was just a casual, even if I wasn't a fan of baseball, I want to watch the Dodgers. Like that's great baseball I'm watching over there.
It's easy, man. It's
like the Chiefs.
Easy.
It's like the Chiefs in football, not to the same level. Because like, let's be honest, like you were to stack up just like roster and ratios to other teams in their own respective leagues in terms of talent, like ratio of talent and money. The Dodgers are murdering it.
Well,
right
now. Ultimately the Dodgers are, and it's crazy. Like you'd think in a sport like baseball, it's tough to get a super team, because there's so many different roster spots and so many different positions. Like it's so much easier on like basketball, where it's
right.
You bring 3 superstars together and it's like, oh shit, like there's an NBA title right there. But I was thinking about it, and just from a pure like, pound for pound, roster to roster thing, like you'd have to look around all of sports to really find a comparable, like maybe in soccer, Real Madrid, maybe, I don't know. I'm not as familiar, but like there's not a lot of other teams in the world out there that will have as much, just pound for pound talent as the Dodgers do right now.
Yeah, and I'm looking at like just the upper echelons of talent. Like I'm looking at right now their payroll, and this is not without deferrals. Like you got Ohtani at $70 million, Blake Snell $36 million, Glass now $32 million, Betts $30 million, Freddie Freeman $27 million. Then there's a drop off. Teoscar Hernandez $17 million, and then Michael Conforto $17 million. Like Jesus Christ, like that top five's untouchable. Like that's insane.
Yeah, of course. So ultimately, LA Dodgers are going to continue to be the LA Dodgers. Let us know in the comments down below, guys. What do you think about all of this? I would imagine that if you are not a Dodgers fan, then you're probably really frustrated. And again, we are too. Like I do think that something ought to be done about this. I think that you're going to see. Honestly, it depends on the results. I think that if you see the LA Dodgers win the next like 2 World Series in a row, like if they three-peat, then it's like, okay,
we got to do something about this.
That's
this is
the thing.
Stupid.
The results are going to show, because you can go out, you can sign all these guys and whatever, but ultimately it's what's really going to piss people off is if you keep winning.
Yeah, exactly. Because I was going to say, if they lose, I think that's honestly really great for baseball, because that rallies a whole 29 other teams together to be like, F these guys.
Yeah.
Bring them down.
Again, like it's gonna, they still got to do it. You got 162 games to play, and then you got the postseason, and hell, I mean the San Diego Padres were a couple runs away from knocking them off last time. So baseball is a game where anything can, and actually just sports in general is a game where anything can happen. The fucking Lions lost to the Commanders this past weekend, so literally anything could happen, man. But if they do keep winning, you might see changes.
Well, I mean, like 100 wins divided by 162, which is like a very phenomenal baseball team, which is what they're projected to get. That's still 61% of the time that they're winning games. So, that's like
40% they lose.
Flipping a little heavier coin on the head side, and maybe you do get unlucky a couple times, or other teams get lucky, and you win some series right there.
So we'll see what happens with them, guys.